The alien lord perched atop his imposing throne, his frigid gaze surveying the assembly of mankind before him. His presence was dominating, his armor shining with superior technology that humanity could only aspire to. His lips. Captain Davis twisted his lip in a sneer, his hatred for the guests evident in his eyes. Stood in the forefront, composed yet vigilant, while his team shifted restlessly behind him. Davis shifted from foot to foot, acutely cognizant of the room's tension, yet he did not quiver. His expression remained deadpan. Hands languidly positioned at his sides adjacent to a compact fortified enclosure, a stocky brown Wolverine named Claw paced back and forth as the alien lord observed. His voice, laden with contempt, inquired, "Tell me, human, is that pathetic creature?" Your attempt at intimidation elicited a giggle from him, his deep voice resonating across the space like a pet. "Is this how you represent your species? By bringing an animal to a gathering of this nature?" Davis did not respond quickly. His countenance remained unchanged as he gazed at the alien lord, and then looked down. The Wolverine claw emitted a quiet snarl, yet Davis simply cast a fleeting glance at the monster. Silent communication transpired between them. The alien lord, amused by the absence of reaction, maintained a sarcastic tone. Humans are entertaining in their simplicity. They believe strength resides in numbers, technology, or possibly in loyalty. He derided the monsters, his eyes narrowing, asserting that your type clings to antiquated notions. "Captain Davis, do you anticipate that object will provide you protection when the moment arrives? Is this your method of preparing for battle, Captain Davis?" He finally articulated, his voice. The even and controlled claw is not intended for protection. He did not provide further details. That appeared to irritate the alien lord more than if he had provided an explanation. "Ah, so you do comprehend the alien language," the lord stated, his voice incisive. "Perhaps you have acknowledged your inferiority. It is prudent for the weak to stay mute in the sight of their superiors." He ascended from his throne, his imposing stature evident. "Overshadowing the humans, this is a diplomatic gathering, yet you present a savage beast. Believing it will impress me. I should have anticipated such folly from your sort." The team surrounding Davis exchanged apprehensive glances, although Davis remained unfazed. Remained immobile, his gaze fixed on the alien lord, whose claw emitted a deep groan. Davis subdued the thing with a solitary, hushed order, "The alien lord." He inclined his head, curious yet unimpressed. "Do you believe this minor exhibition of dominance over an animal? The alien lord's derisive remark merely validates my long-standing beliefs. Your species clings to animals because you are creatures for which you contend. Survival is not a result of strength, but rather a consequence of having no alternative." One scurries about, anxious to remain alive. "While we thrive," he indicated towards the expansive, technologically advanced planet. The chamber in which they stood was a marvel of extraterrestrial artistry, adorned with complex glowing panels, designs and hovering drones discreetly surveilling the atmosphere, embodying human technology. Paled in compared to this to the alien lord, humans were but an subordinate race striving to attain parity. "You entertain me, human," the extraterrestrial lord maintained a frigid smirk about his lips. "Do you not comprehend that the meeting is really a formality your team has already vanquished? The crew is present, seeking to negotiate, but your fate has already been determined. Do you provide in exchange a creature from your native world? It is undoubtedly expected." Davis did not reply to the provocation. His son's silence appeared to exacerbate his irritation. The alien lord commenced pacing before them, his hands clasped behind his back, exuding arrogance. "Palpable, Captain Davis," the alien lord stated, halting abruptly to gaze. "What are your expectations for today? Do you anticipate my presence? Influenced by your words and niceties, you offer no present or technological benefit. Nonetheless, you are convinced that this mock discussion will go favorably for one of the human crew members, evidently." Disturbed by the alien lord's remarks, he opened his lips to respond, but Davis silenced him with a raised hand. The captain's composed manner remained steadfast. "Despite the evident escalation of the alien lord's anger, you are unaware of what transpired. Power is indeed a strange concept. The lord growled, "You humans possess only primordial instincts. Misguided audacity leads you to believe you can oppose us, but you are mistaken. You will not succeed." Descend like all before the claw's pacing intensified and became increasingly frenetic. The alien guards flanking the alien lord observed the creature with unease, but the alien lord gestured dismissively. "Your animal is insignificant. Just like your species, you are inconsequential." The presence here is merely a transient amusement before we annihilate you. Davis addressed the alien lord's eyes. His voice firm, he finally replied, "You are mistaken if you believe Claw is here for amusement." The alien lord laughed, his eyes dismissively glancing toward the Wolverine, a formidable creature of the captain. "Davis, a mere beast, is that not the essence of humanity? You engage in conflict. Due to your fear, you resist, aware of your inability to prevail, whereas I do not share this limitation. I do not fear the creatures. Their claws and growls have become increasingly loud and relentless." The alien lord disregarded the situation, his arrogance obscuring his perception of the escalating tension in the room. "I shall take pleasure in observing your demise." Species succumb individually, overwhelmed by the burden of their own triviality. The words lingered in the atmosphere. However, Davis did not respond. Instead, he cast a gaze at Claw, the Wolverine's sharpness evident. With eyes radiating a subdued intensity, the alien lord emitted a chilling laugh. "Devoid of any warmth, your cat poses no harm to me," he said with his voice. The alien lord's sneer intensified, resonating throughout the chamber. As he observed Captain Davis standing there calmly, he basked in his sense of dominance. Persuaded that these humans were merely an inconvenience, his species had subjugated innumerable worlds. Species significantly more powerful than humans exert their will. Why should this encounter differ from others involving humans and the alien lord? He continued, his voice laden with disdain. "You are invariably so predictable. You approach us. Your requests suggest you own something of value, but your technology is obsolete and your vessels are inadequate. Your speed is inadequate and your weaponry is comical in comparison to ours." He paused, allowing his words resonate sharply, relishing the unease among the human crew. "You contribute nothing of significance to this discourse. Nonetheless, you continue to believe you merit a position in this galaxy, as if you are equivalent to people who possess genuine authority." The guards positioned near the alien lord emitted a subdued laugh, reflecting their master's contempt for the other aliens present in the room. Observed in silence, while others exchanged knowing glances, having witnessed this before Ace, frantic and outmatched in negotiations with forces vastly superior, the outcome invariably remained unchanged. Davis maintained an impassive demeanor. His tranquility only seemed to exacerbate the alien lord's agitation. "Arrogance, do you comprehend why we have endured for such an extended period, Captain Davis, the alien lord?" he inquired, leaning forward with a condescending tone. "It is because we do not squander our time on trivial matters. As we evolve, we extract what we require from less robust species and abandon them." He pointed dismissively toward Claw, who continued to pace restlessly behind him. "This is what you present at our meeting. An animal, a creature contained within its cage, exists solely on instinct, lacking reason or intelligence. That is very suitable, is it not? Humans are also motivated by primal instincts." The alien lord stood imposing. With his chest pushed up, he exhibited evident pride in his race's alleged superiority, asserting that we do not depend on emotions. "Captain Davis, we do not adhere to the past or to antiquated bonds. That is why we are. We possess immense power, which enables us to govern entire star systems, while you humans grapple with managing your own emotions." Davis. His eyes momentarily glanced to the Wolverine. Before reverting to the alien lord, he remained silent. However, the expression in his eyes spoke much. The alien lord scoffed, misinterpreting the quiet as a sign of weakness. "Consider whether your diminutive pet will rescue you," as the alien lord derided your belief that your allegiance to an animal confers any significance. "Strong, you fail to comprehend genuine strength, Captain. Strength is defined by efficiency and rationality. It is the capacity to undertake any necessary action regardless of the expense." He surveyed the room while indicating to his elite group. "Protects the sophisticated weaponry, the magnificence of his environment. This is power. This is what distinguishes us from individuals such as yourself and your emotional connection." The guards chuckled once again, their amusement evident, as the alien lord proceeded, plainly reveling in the situation. "About your kind. Adheres to antiquated notions of loyalty, friendship, and companionship." He uttered the term with disdain. "If it were beneath him, that is what impedes your progress. You fail to perceive the broader perspective, Captain, since you are overly fixated on the insignificant elements, are too feeble to relinquish what is inconsequential to the human collective." They shifted nervously, acutely aware of the gravity of the alien lord's words, while Davis remained composed. The unperturbed Claw emitted a low snarl from its confinement, yet the alien lord appeared indifferent. He perceived no threat in the Wolverine, which illustrates your dilemma, the alien lord said. Currently encircling the humans, you believe that strength derives from loyalty and emotion. However, all it accomplishes is to tether you to the feeble, as he articulated with his voice. Menacingly lowered, they are intended to be subdued. A flash of something appeared in Davis's eyes, although he remained unchanged. The alien lord interpreted the silence as obedience. You are all constrained by, he stated, with his voice rising once again, that these attachments are the reason you will. He halted squarely in front of Davis, looming over him with an intense glare. Filled with disgust, he remarked that this gathering is futile, and that your kind is not relevant. Valuable efforts are futile when you contribute nothing, yet you anticipate compassion, yet compassion is not guaranteed. Is a vulnerability, Captain Davis, one I do not exhibit. The ensuing stillness was the alien lord's arrogance permeated the room, creating an almost suffocating atmosphere of self-assured superiority. He believed he had already triumphed, that the humans had nothing further to articulate or provide. He was certain they were defeated. Merely another species to subjugate. Do you believe you can negotiate with me? Do you believe you own any value whatsoever? The alien lord's voice was a growl now. My patience is waning. You are not my equals, nor are you even really comparable. Davis encountered his. The alien lord, maintaining a calm and serene demeanor, narrowed his eyes, evidently anticipating. He scoffed once more, as if the absence of any reaction validated his suspicion. His perception of humanity was that you are feeble, because to your concern about the alien sovereign. You cling to entities that lack relevance in this realm, and for that you will be disregarded like all the others. His words lingered in the atmosphere, weighty. Finally, the other aliens observed, some nodding in assent while others remained indifferent. Witnessing the result they had previously observed numerous times, the humans were clearly outmatched, and their silence appeared to confirm their doom. In the alien lord's eyes, the claw roared again, this time more loudly, but the alien lord did not even deign to glance at him. I shall grant you one more opportunity, he stated. His voice was low and menacing. Surrender now, and perhaps I will allow a few of you to survive. The room may have been silent once more, yet Davis remained motionless and silent, merely stood there, eyes fixed on the alien lord, denying him the gratification of dread or panic. Lord's lip twisted in disdain as he said, "You are all identical. Obstinate till the conclusion, yet it is inconsequential." He averted his gaze, as though the dialogue was concluded, as though Davis and his team had already been dismissed in his thoughts. Were concluded. Merely another species too imprudent to recognize the gravity of their circumstances, while Davis's silence was not. Submission was not driven by fear, and the alien lord, in his hubris, was too blinded to perceive this. The alien lord remained oblivious, his back still turned, when Claw emitted a sharp, ferocious snarl that resonated audibly. In an instant, the Wolverine escaped from his cage, bending the steel bars as though they were malleable. The beast surged forward with an unexpected vigor, catching the alien lord off guard. Before he could evade, the Wolverine's claws effortlessly penetrated his armor, lacerating his flesh. The alien lord recoiled, his eyes widened in astonishment, his hubris supplanted by a moment of true terror. This was not the innocuous creature he had disregarded seconds earlier. The guards swiftly advanced, brandishing their rifles. However, Claw was the Wolverine evaded their assaults with an astonishing speed that appeared implausible for such a little creature, leaping adeptly. Transitioning from one victim to another, he was a whirlwind of teeth and claws, dismantling the elite warriors as though they were nothing more than paper. Blood smeared across the immaculate floors of the chamber. The once formidable guards who had stood resolutely beside their leader now lay in disarray, torn apart by the Wolverine's relentless fury. Dispersed among the surviving extraterrestrials, they had never encountered something of this nature. Was a being of unrestrained rage, and none of their sophisticated technology could impede it. The alien lord, grasping for a wounded individual with a chest injury, staggered backward, attempting to regain his equilibrium. "What is this?" he gasped, his voice wavering for the first time. Davis finally spoke his thoughts. He remained composed and deliberate despite the surrounding turmoil. "You misjudged our capabilities." Saw as the Claw encircled the remaining soldiers. Eyes aflame with killing intent. Wolverines may be little, however they are unyielding, akin to humans. Lord's visage contorted in agony and incredulity. He had never contemplated that such a being might present any danger. much less cause such devastation. His mind raced as he attempted to comprehend how something so simple and little could. After defeating his soldiers, one of the remaining guards leveled a weapon at Claw, but before he could fire, the Wolverine intervened. He seized the rifle from his grasp in a one motion, causing the guard to scream and collapse as Claw ripped away. Davis maintained his gaze on the alien lord, as if he were inconsequential. "You perceive our compassion as weakness and our loyalty as a sign of softness, although you are mistaken." "Incorrect, it fortifies us," he indicated towards Claw, who was now positioned over the corpses of the fallen guards. Growl, poised for further confrontation. "This is incomprehensible to you." The alien lord, now frantic, groped for a concealed weapon. His fingers trembled as he attempted to point the weapon at the Wolverine, but before he could pull the trigger, the Claw attacked once more. The alien lord, panting for breath, dropped to the ground after having his weapon knocked from his grasp. His once commanding presence diminished. "Reduced to a trembling heap," he cried, his voice cracking. "Call it off." Terminated, the trepidation in his eyes was evident, yet Davis remained motionless. He remained immobile, snarling, without the urge to claw, awaiting. The Wolverine's gaze remained fixed on the alien lord, as per his master's directive. Cowered before the entity he had before derided, believing he possessed all the power. Davis stated softly that power transcends just weaponry or physical might. It encompasses recognizing when to engage and when to exercise patience. "You are overly presumptuous to see that the alien lord attempted to ascend, although his legs collapsed beneath him. His pride, his confidence, all he had depended upon, was devastated. He had been outsmarted not by armaments or technology, but by a simpler determination, and the intense relationship between a human and his animal elicited another low growl. However, the surviving aliens, those who had not escaped nor been killed, were immobilized, uncertain of their next course of action. The commander lay on the ground, vanquished by a species they had not deemed a threat. The alien lord gasped in disbelief. His voice was no more than a whisper as he implored Davis, who scrutinized him for an extended period. In the moment of silence that stretched between them, the alien lord had derided him, disparaged his species, and issued threats. His survival was paramount, yet now, confronted with defeat, he seemed merely as a shattered figure imploring for pity. "I informed you." Davis stated softly that Claw was not present for entertainment, with a little word from Davis. Claw stepped back, the tension in his body dissipating. The Wolverine remained alert. The notice was unnecessary as the confrontation had concluded, and all those present in the room. The alien lord collapsed upon the floor, his breath coming in labored gasps. He gasps, his eyes, once filled with confidence, are now clouded by fear and confusion he had never anticipated. Davis stated, his tone composed yet resolute, that the situation could have concluded differently. "You had the option to disengage. Respect was warranted, yet you failed to acknowledge it, and now you comprehend the consequences of underestimating us." The stillness in the room was palpable, as the gravity of the situation dawned on everybody there, particularly the humans. Regarded as feeble and inconsequential, had demonstrated greater peril than anticipated, not via raw force or modern technology, but through resilience and the unwavering loyalty that had consistently characterized them. Davis cast a final look at the alien lord, who now lay inert, gazing upwards. At the ceiling, the vanquished Claw stood behind him, vigilant yet no longer active. Davis received the message without further communication, necessitating a response. He turned and started walking away, his crew closely trailing behind, with Claw tread beside him. He epitomized tranquility. Following the tumult, the Wolverine had fulfilled his role, and now, as they approached the exit, the remaining aliens could only observe in quiet. It was time to depart, seeing an unforgettable event that profoundly altered their perception of power and strength. The alien lord, once confident in his power, had been humbled by the very beings he had derided, and when Davis and his crew exited the chamber, the truth lingered in the atmosphere. Indisputable and unwavering humans were not meant to be. The once mighty alien lord, now crumpled on the floor, was misjudged. His face was pale and his respiration labored. His guards were absent, and his power was obliterated in an exceedingly humiliating manner. It is conceivable that he never anticipated experiencing defeat at the hands of someone he deemed inferior, and yet, here he is. He was shattered by something as insignificant as a Wolverine and a human captain who never elevated his voice, whereas Davis loomed above him, arms at his sides in a comfortable manner. Yet the difference in authority was unmistakable. The alien lord, previously brimming with bluster and arrogance, now gazed up at him with a blend of terror and bewilderment at the transformation. His manner was stark, and the gravity of what had transpired weighed heavily over the gathering. Davis stated quietly, with an even tone, that you believed you possessed complete control. This had already been determined, although you were mistaken. You never comprehended the nature of the situation. The alien lord grappled till he struggled to find his voice, his hands trembling as he attempted to rise, only to collapse again. He mumbled in disbelief, the arrogance evident in his demeanor. His comments were feeble, as if he could not fully comprehend the circumstances that had culminated in this moment, everything he had constructed. All his convictions on the supremacy of his race were now under scrutiny. The issue with your type, Avis remarked while observing him, is that you equate power with superiority. It pertains to domination and the subjugation of anything perceived as weaker. Nevertheless, true strength is not just defined by size or power. At times, it is essential to discern whether to assert oneself and when to allow others to undervalue you, as exemplified by the foreign lord's gaze. Flicked to the claw that now sat silently alongside Davis, the thing which had moments before. It was a maelstrom of fury. Now it appears serene, almost indifferent. The metamorphosis was disconcerting, and the alien lord grappled with reconciling the vicious assault with the creature's nature. Davis maintained a calm voice, suggesting that you perceived Claw as insignificant. You presumed his diminutive stature rendered him insignificant. Yet that is just what rendered him perilous. You failed to perceive the risk since you were overly concentrated on the immediate situation, so overlooking the other aliens in the room remained silent, perhaps uncertain about how to proceed about matters of significance. The leader was defeated, their superiority challenged in an unforeseen manner by the humans, who were generally perceived as a subordinate race, has recently exhibited an unforeseen fierce resilience and capacity for. Davis remarked that he could have forewarned you, but you would not have heeded it, which was very surprising. You were preoccupied with condescension, failing to comprehend that our intentions were not confrontational as you anticipated. Your emphasis on demonstrating your dominance has precluded any contemplation of the broader aspects of existence. Rather than relying on raw might, the alien lord swallowed with difficulty, his breathing still irregular. He hesitated, uncertain of his next words. His confidence, integral to his identity as a victor, was disintegrating before him. Davis concurred, his tone gentle yet resolute. You never believed we were a menace. You underestimated. Not merely Claw, but all of us. And now you have learned the harsh reality that underestimating an individual can result in significant losses. Resonated palpably. It is impossible to overlook the other aliens, who exchanged anxious glances, evidently disturbed. By what they had observed, the humans they had believed would be readily dominated have unexpectedly reversed the situation. Davis spoke in an unexpectedly profound manner, urging a thorough observation of the surroundings. Increasing marginally, this illustrates the consequence of neglecting the notion that strength encompasses more than mere fortitude. Patience in awaiting the opportune moment and discernment in recognizing when to act resulted in your failure, as you were caught unawares. The alien lord averted his sight, reluctant to confront Davis's eyes. The loss was palpable, evident on his face, leaving him little option except to concede it to his guards. His control was obliterated, and the humans now occupied a position of power he had never anticipated. Hold. Davis advanced, his voice quiet yet authoritative. You had your opportunity to demonstrate respect. You may have listened and treated us as equals. However, you did not. The alien lord remained silent, acknowledging that the individual must now endure the repercussions of their decision. Silence spoke more than words ever could. He understood there was nothing else to articulate, no debate that could reverse the situation. His fate was irrevocably determined the minute he underestimated humanity, and he is now facing the consequences. Due of his hubris, Claw remained by Davis's side, emitting a low growl as a subtle reminder. The alien lord shuddered slightly at the recently unleashed force, but Davis remained silent. The message had been conveyed, and all individuals there comprehended it, including the surviving extraterrestrials. Shifted uneasily, now uncertain of their position in the room, the power dynamics had altered, and they were clearly uncertain of how to advance. They entered the conference anticipating to assert their dominance and impose their will on the humans. Now stood in stunned silence, wondering of their next course of action. You will allow us to depart now, Davis stated. His tone brooked no dissent, compelling you to reconsider any future attempts to condescend to us, the alien. Lord bowed feebly. His formerly arrogant posture was now obliterated, leaving him devoid of any resolve or counter-argument. He had been defeated in an unforeseen manner, and recovery was impossible. Davis averted his gaze. Gesturing for his troops to follow, they proceeded swiftly, a sense of relief enveloping them. Faces now that the tension had dissipated, Claw followed closely behind the Wolverine's composed demeanor, a dramatic contrast. In stark contrast to the chaos it had unleashed seconds before, the alien lord stayed in the chamber. Grounded and watching after them, his head was reeling. The humans had accomplished the impossible, and now he was left to reflect on the implications of that, not only for him but for his entire ethnicity ultimately. It was not sheer might that secured victory, rather. It was something far more fundamental, a tie he had never contemplated. Between a man and his animal, and the recognition that occasionally the minutest elements can provide the most significant impact. As the humans departed victorious, the alien lord was left behind. Confront the stark fact that his assumptions had led to his demise, Captain Davis and his crew exited the chamber silently, leaving behind the devastated remnants of the alien lord and his guards amidst the tension. The tension that had previously enveloped them had dissipated, supplanted by a profound sense of tranquility and peaceful triumph. Silence reigned, yet the gravity of the moment was palpable. The recent occurrence lingered palpably. They had entered a negotiation devoid of leverage and had departed with their heads held high, having demonstrated their strength in an unforeseen manner. Davis looked down at the Claw, now trotting obediently after him, appeared calm and serene, as if nothing had transpired with the Wolverine. The violent fury had dissipated, supplanted by the calm, unwavering assurance of a being that had fulfilled its duty and now returned. Davis bent down and briefly patted CL on the head. There existed a tie between them that transcended verbal expression, and no member of the team questioned its potency following their experiences. As they approached the exit, one crew member finally remarked in a hushed voice, "Captain, what now? They will pursue us for this." Davis did not answer quickly. His gaze. He continued to advance with measured steps. There was now surety in his resolve. Tone that eliminated any uncertainty. He, along with the rest of the crew, was aware that circumstances. The alien lord and his people had been humiliated and profoundly upset. Arrogance disintegrated when confronted with an unforeseen challenge. They believed they have absolute authority. Davis maintained a calm demeanor. However, power is not derived solely from intimidation. They discovered that today one of the younger crew members, still appearing bewildered by the events that transpired, shook his head. In disbelief, "I never anticipated this. I did not expect it." Yet Claw Davis smiled. There was a subtle, uncommon look on his typically solemn face. They underestimated him, just as they had before. They underestimated all of us. That is their weakness. They believe power is defined by size pertains to the largest military force or the most sophisticated technology, which they lack. The team appeared to get the significant concepts, nodding slowly as they continued to ponder his statements. The enormity of the issue they encountered appeared to be hopeless, yet they persevered victorious not through brute force, but through a synthesis of patience. The determination and unforeseen strength of a Wolverine, which took everyone by surprise, will not be forgotten by Davis. Stated after a pause that they will reconsider before confronting us again, not due of they fear our weaponry and vessels, but they are now aware of our capabilities when provoked excessively. The group fell silent once more as they contemplated the revelation that humans had demonstrated something more formidable than Ra. The military strength demonstrated their will, indicating that they could not be easily intimidated and that they were able to meet the task in unforeseen ways. As they advanced further from the chamber, His introspection revealed that the day's events would reverberate beyond this singular encounter with the alien. The Lord's defeat would reverberate across the galaxy, informing others that humans were not to be underestimated. Be undervalued not due to their numerical strength or technological prowess, but rather due to a more profound factor. The other species could not entirely comprehend. They now fear us. Davis remarked softly, more to himself than to anybody else. To his squad, not because to our size or strength, but because we persevere. Do not retreat, another crew member insisted, his voice imbued with renewed determination. They possessed a misplaced sense of confidence, believing that Claw was merely a pet, which ultimately led to their defeat. Did not comprehend that we had been prepared for this all along. Davis nodded in agreement. They believed themselves to be superior, yet they failed to recognize the genuine threat, since they were overly fixated on the immediate surroundings. They are so preoccupied with identifying weaknesses that they fail to recognize that the elements they disregard are frequently the most perilous. The crew now walked, feeling the weight of their victory solidify into something enduring. They continued to confront a foe considerably more formidable than themselves long after departing from this location. Prevailed not due to superior strength or equipment, but because they comprehended what the aliens did not. Strength does not always originate from apparent sources. This will be a topic of discussion for an extended period, Bavis. He stated with conviction that it is not alone the foreign lord the news will disseminate farther. Species will learn about the events that transpired here and will begin to reconsider their perceptions of us, as one of the elders suggested. A crew member, a man experienced in warfare, nodded in assent. They may begin to respect us more, perhaps even fear us. Davis gazed ahead. Eyes narrowing, minor dread is a potent instrument, yet respect is our objective. We have demonstrated to them what we are now aware, that humans are not merely a species to be dominated. We possess strength. Unable to perceive until it is too late, Claw continued to pace near Davis, emitting a subdued growl. As if to emphasize the captain's statement, Davis grinned subtly, aware that this diminutive yet formidable and devoted creature has altered the trajectory of. As they approached the ship, Davis turned to confront his crew, his expression serious yet composed. We accomplished something significant today. We demonstrated that we cannot be overlooked and that we would not passively acquiesce. Concluded when they attempted to scare us, this was not merely a matter of survival, but rather about the team demonstrated to the galaxy the essence of humanity. Nodding in unison as a collective pride developed among them, they had arrived. They arrived with little more than hope and departed with their dignity and a hard-earned victory. Davis delivered one final glance back to the room where the alien lords remained shattered and vanquished. They will recall this day. We boarded their ship without further discussion, aware that the galaxy had irrevocably changed for humanity, had secured their position not via coercion, but through a profound comprehension of the essence of true strength. As they ascended, Davis experienced a profound sense of satisfaction enveloping him. They had confronted the impossible, triumphed, and emerged victorious, ensuring they would never again be underestimated.